broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, everybody, and happy Monday. This is the Amazing Race After Show for season 26, episode 11. In it to win it, I'm your host, James Wallington, and with me across the table are...
What's up, guys? Happy Monday. I'm Jessica Carroll.
Hey, everybody. I'm Justin Nichols, and of course, also a very happy belated Mother's Day for everyone listening.
All those mummies out there.
There you go.
Had a great day.
Good call, Justin. All right, you guys, it seems like we have the chat going already. No surprise there. It's on fire. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in live right now on YouTube. Thank you, guys. I wanted to just let you guys know on Friday night, Justin and I attended a viewing party here in Los Angeles with Jenny and Laura. We have a picture for all of you. It was a lot of fun to watch the episode with two of the racers that are still in it.
And you know what's so fun was, we talk in our studio, but we talk about the racers, but, we don't always get to really know the racers.
Right.
And so it was really fun to see them. And I have to give a big shout out to Laura because, I walked in, James, before you got there, and I have never met her in person. So I was like, is she gonna know who I am?
Yeah.
Like, is this gonna be awkward? Like, who are you and why are you at my viewing party? It was so sweet, Jess. She jumped up from her conversation. Aww. She ran over and she's like, Justin, you would have loved, you would have loved it. She was so sweet. Jenny was great. And for those of you that are listening in your car right now, when you get home, look this up online because these two girls, they were stunningly beautiful.
They are beautiful.
Look at this picture. Oh my gosh, are you kidding?
They were gorgeous.
Bombshells.
They really were.
And it's a true test that they do watch our after show now.
It was great.
It was just so sweet to, they were just so happy to see both Justin and I there. They wish you could have been there, Jess.
They did.
I know.
I feel like you would have gotten along with both of those ladies.
Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because I was flying home to see my mommy for Mother's Day.
Heck yes.
But I would love to meet them down the road, so.
And it was neat talking to Jenny, too, because, we don't really know a lot about their backstories, but when we were talking to Jenny, she's a lawyer, but right now she's not focusing so much on law. She's really focusing on her fashion and her fashion blog. And I was like, oh my God, Jess and her.
Oh my gosh.
Totally hit it off.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Now I must meet her.
Now you really need to. They were great. They were really great.
So for everyone who's in the live chat now, make sure you follow Laura and Jenny on Twitter and all their social media platforms because they're really wonderful ladies. All right, you guys, starting in this episode, number 11, In It to Win It. At the mat, we have Haley and Blair leaving at 6:39 a.m., Jenny and Jelani in second at 7:19 a.m., Mike and Rochelle 2 hours later from Haley and Blair at 8:35 a.m., and then Laura and Tyler at 8:48 a.m. Starting off this leg, teams were instructed to head back to Trujillo, Peru, and find South America's largest mosaic. Upon arrival, find a payaso to receive magnifying glass to search for their next clue. We have Haley saying it's a huge accomplishment to be in the top 4, and I loved in the taxi on the way to Trujillo, Blair saying, pointing out Haley's strengths, being like, yeah, you're really good at whispering, and just, I think
Were you a librarian?
Then we have Jelani saying that their team started off really hot, then they slowed down a little bit, which we did see.
Yeah.
And then now they're starting to build back up and they're picking up at the right time.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, showing in the edit. Then we have Laura and Tyler saying that they're feeling good, they're in it to win it, which is the name of the episode. And then the Truck Stop Love are saying that we're gonna have one hell of a leg this leg because it's pretty much us against Laura and Tyler, which they were 2 hours behind the first place team. So
yeah,
what do you guys think so far as the race is starting out this leg?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I don't want to go too far ahead of time, but I love it from the get-go because once they get to their destination, I mean, the clowns made the whole episode for me.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe I'm going too far ahead, James. Let me know. But so far the taxi rides were funny. I'm rooting for Tyler and Laura, but gosh, they're starting so far behind the first place team. It's scary.
I know, that's the sad part. But I loved the little bickering between Blair and Haley once again. You know, he's like, all right, so you're really good at paying attention to detail, and you're really good at whispering. Okay, I don't think that would be one of the qualities, but just saying, I like the sarcasm, Blair. I really like the sarcasm.
Oh, and Jess, just to give you a shout out in the chat right now, Ken Baker said, does everyone agree, this is for Justin and I apparently, does everyone agree that Jessica should go on Amazing Race with her mom? We have been saying this.
100%.
We've been saying this for how many seasons now?
So many seasons.
They would be Team Pink.
We would be Team Pink
all the way
sure.
through.
Although, you guys, my mom would probably die. She loves to travel, but she likes to travel like a diva. So she likes, first class and getting her nails done. So she would have a little bit of struggles. But we would be great TV.
But hey, good question.
That's great television.
From Taylor's, good question from Taylor Smith. Jess, would you go on the U.S. or the Canadian version of The Amazing Race?
Well, that's a good question. But if we could choose, because we are Canadian, we would probably want to be on the U.S. though.
I love your theory. If we could choose, because we're Canadian, we're going to choose the U.S.
We are Canadian, but we're, we would have to maybe manipulate the rules a little bit.
Oh, you're right. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. They'll see the two of you, and they will just change laws, all right, to make sure that you two get on.
I love it. All right.
Yes.
We have the teams arriving at the Big Mosaic, which is actually 2 miles long. Insane. When the teams arrive, they have to find the payaso, which is this annoying clown.
I loved it. Oh my gosh,
Oh
I
my
loved
God.
it so much.
If I was a contestant on the show and racing, I would have wanted to strangle that clown.
Thank you. I'm
One of
with
them
you
almost did. One of our
Tyler.
racers almost did.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, I was like, give me the freaking clue, I'm out of here.
No, I thought it was funny. I mean, luckily, I don't have a fear of clowns. If you did, this would be horrifying because
True.
it's just like the weirdest clown you've ever met in your entire life. But however, I found it absolutely hysterical because the clown did not care at all that they were racing for $1 million. It was just, there was no hurry in his little like dance and game. Like, he was gonna get his camera time, darn it.
Gosh,
But was it a boy or a girl? Which is the debate we saw with Laura and Tyler. What was it?
I think it was a boy.
For a second, I thought it was a
crazy
girl.
clown.
I think it's a boy.
But according to Tyler, it's it. Which
Okay.
would make sense because,
It,
Stephen
yeah.
King's novel It's made after, it's about a clown. So the teams arrived at the Mosaic where they get their magnifying glasses, which they had to search all the Mosaic tiles for a tiny little marker, the yellow and red flag. At first I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be so challenging. It's like the challenges we've seen in the past where teams go to a huge football stadium or huge sports arena and they have to search for a clue under a seat.
Yeah.
There's thousands and thousands of seats in these arenas. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, how are they going to do this?
Yeah.
But luckily they got a little picture, which
Yeah.
would at least give them a little bit of a depiction of
area.
which area
Yeah.
on the mosaic
Yeah.
they would find it in. But
sure.
phew, I was like,
mean,
oh my gosh.
Not gonna lie though, I thought this was too easy. I wanted them. I wanted to see more of it. Let's just be honest. I wanted to see more of it. So if they actually had to, maybe they got a picture of something that was kind of throughout the piece. So they had to look because I felt like everyone just got it so fast that we didn't even get to see, the long mosaic. And I wanted to see more. And I like it when they struggle. So
Like, I was going to say the exact same thing, Jess. All these challenges, they do test them out beforehand with some of the production crew. Maybe for some reason that day that the testers really struggled because for some reason everything lined up where I think maybe the picture was too obvious where the tile was going to be at. Because once, you're right, James, they got that little clue, they all seem to find it right away where you didn't really get to see any type of challenge. And we talked about earlier when the teams were so spread apart over 2 hours, we needed something that allowed the teams to catch up. But every single team was like, there it is.
They didn't
Done.
even use their magnifying glass.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
And that's why, kind of in a good way, there was this crazy clown, because otherwise we would have nothing to talk about.
For 100% agreed.
So I was kind of bummed out. I was like, that was pointless. And
Are
I wanted to see more.
Yeah, are we alone on this? Is James, for anyone that's on the live chat right now, curious if you guys liked this
People
or
are
how
saying,
easy it was?
Arrow Man said, I agree, Jess, it went too fast. I wish they didn't give them the picture. Yes, Jess, it was too easy. Plus, did those magnifying glasses help at all? I totally agree with you, Fabi Troba.
Fabi Troda! That's why I was saying at first I thought this was going to be a very challenging challenge.
Yeah.
Because it made me think of all the different arenas they've gone to in the past.
Yeah.
That's what it should have been.
Agreed.
No help, no picture. They just scale this 2 mile, long mosaic
Right.
to find the right thing. Maybe if they did the full 2 mile wall and had a bigger bigger sticker with no picture. That would have made more sense.
Right.
to
Or
me.
to say, okay, it's a 2 mile long wall, but you guys have this 3 block radius to look
That's a
for
good
it,
point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Like marked off this part of the mosaic.
Yeah.
So I agree. It wasn't too challenging, but then again, it's an edit. So how much footage can they put of teams running up and down a 2 mile long mosaic wall?
Yeah.
It could have been very challenging. We just didn't see that.
Well, to be honest, when Haley and Blair did it first and they found it right away, I was like, whoa, they found it super fast. Like the other teams, they're going to be way ahead of the other teams because they found it so fast. But then right behind them, Jenny, Jelani, boom, they found it. Poor Mike and Rochelle, the hardest part they had was even finding the right clown.
I was just about to say that.
I guess there's... Oh, that was a close
That
one.
was close. If you're watching right now, Jess almost just knocked over my water.
Is that water?
No.
Just kidding.
It's straight gin.
Straight vodka in mine, clearly. It's a party over here, guys. But, I mean, who knows? I guess there was a few clowns just hanging out over there.
And I had the same thing when that happened. I was thinking, I wonder if production had a few. I mean, did they have a few clowns to throw them off, or did they really just run into another?
Maybe
random...
it's like a Peruvian thing.
I don't know, because what are the odds? Because the other clown seemed really confused.
Yeah.
Like it didn't seem like he was like, "Oh, I tricked you." It was kind of like this clown's kind of like, "Wait, what are you doing? Why are these cameras here?"
Can you imagine if you were a PA on the show and like, can you please just dress up like a clown and sit here? We want to try to see if we can confuse a team.
Yeah.
And you're just getting paid to just pretend to be a clown.
Yeah.
If I was paid to be a clown, I would be the most obnoxious clown ever.
But the thing is, though, is before they had trouble even finding the clown because of their car.
Oh, yeah. On the way to the mosaic wall, Mike and Rochelle had tire issues, which we saw Laura and Tyler say, oh my gosh, Laura's like, I was praying that this would happen to a team today just so we can make up some time. They both agreed that they wish it would have been Blair and Haley. But unfortunately, it was Mike and Rochelle. They did not start this leg of the race on the right wheel.
And it ended up, it was literally. But it's funny because they showed that in the preview last week. So I thought it was going to be this really big thing. I mean, it didn't end up changing things too much, but there was a while where I was really terrified for them because it seemed like the car was out of brakes. And so the driver, if you notice, he was using his emergency brake to slow down the car on these hills. And that's why the car started smoking. I was like, this is really serious. This is dangerous.
It's kind of been throughout this whole season, Mike and Rochelle have just had car struggles. And it's kind of funny because their team name is...
Truck Stop Love.
Truck Stop Love. And they always have car struggles, and Laura and Tyler, as they're driving by, Laura's like, crap, I kind of wish that someone would get a flat tire, and it actually just happened. So karma comes around.
Cars will hurt you every single time.
Saul Perez said, in some Latin countries, some people will dress as a clown to entertain people as they drive. So there you have it. Maybe there are just clowns wandering the streets in Latin American countries. Creepy. Creepy. But like you said, Jess, Blair and Haley seem to find their clue right away. We saw a little bit of, I guess, banter back and forth between Laura and Tyler of Tyler's a know-it-all. So we saw that little tension there. And then when they got to the clown, Tyler was all like, all right, anytime now. I just feel like we're seeing a different side of Tyler than we saw at the beginning.
Of both. I'm really glad you brought that up because, they were our darlings for this whole season. They still are very much so, but they seemed like they got along so well and they really enjoyed being around together all the time. And I think maybe it's just the stress of the race. Remember the dentists and all
that. Well, especially when you're this close to $1 million.
But it is funny that you're starting to see that it's not always perfect all the time. Like it seemed. It seemed unbelievable how much they got along. And now it's like, oh, you're a real human together, learning to like each other.
And I loved how they mentioned, once they got there and got the clue, how they were like, we just cannot have Haley and Blair win because we don't want to lose $1 million to them.
Yeah.
To the couple that complains and doesn't get along and has zero communication, we cannot lose to them. I loved how they were saying that.
I hope it's not a foreshadow.
I know.
They're winning.
Arrow Man in the live chat said, I've said it for a few after shows now that I'm going to Ecuador. A month from today, I'll be in Ecuador for 2 weeks.
So exciting.
And Arrow Man said, James, can you dress as a clown when you go south and send us pictures? Can you imagine me in Ecuador on this trip with like a bunch of tourists?
Can you please do it?
Just like
please,
a clown
James, please.
in the streets of Ecuador.
Oh, someone
Lord.
said that we should all dress as clowns for our special show.
Hey.
We'll get to the suggestions later on.
Can we not add that one?
I'd be down. I'd have a red nose for sure.
Gosh. Once teams found their clue on the mosaic wall, their next clue was the Detour, Shake Your Hips versus Make Some Bricks. In Shake Your Hips, teams traveled to a small church to dress in dancing costumes and learn the traditional Peruvian dance known as the marinera. Once perfected and improved by the head dancer, they would receive their next clue. In the Make Some Bricks Detour, teams had to travel to a famous Chan Chan ruins where they needed to make 12 wet bricks. Once all 12 were completed and improved, they must wheelbarrow to transport 12 dry bricks to a work site. Once the delivery was completed, they received their next clue. Which Detour would you guys have done?
So right off the bat, when I just heard them, I would have for sure picked dancing because I love to dance and cultural, love to get dressed up. But after watching it, it's always very interesting. The bricks one is it's a clear object. You got to make 12 bricks, and then you got to deliver 12 bricks, and then you're done. Whereas the dancing, it's a judging one. And so those ones are always harder, I think, because if you do one little thing wrong, or if the judges don't like how you're smiling, or you're not smiling, or you're looking here, you got to do it all over again. So even though I would have personally wanted to do the dancing, I think I would have chose the bricks just because it's go, get it done, and leave.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I make Mike look like a great dancer for Mike and Rochelle. I am the worst dancer known to man. So right away, no question, even if my partner was a professional ballroom dancer, I would have pleaded with them to let me do the bricks. Like, dancing is my biggest fear in life. There is no question what I would do on this one.
What about you, James?
Everyone in the live chat, comment below, bricks or hips, which one would you have done? I would have done the hips, no doubt. My boyfriend Will, when we were at the bar, the viewing party, he goes, we would have done dancing, no brainer. It just makes sense. I just love to dance, and I feel like I have natural rhythm, whereas the bricks thing, I agree.
Physical.
Making the bricks didn't seem like too challenging, but it's the transportation of the bricks, which we saw Tyler say. We turned the corner and it was like the opening of the gates of hell.
Yeah.
And the moment he said that, it definitely put it into perspective, because when they did the aerial pullout and you could see the whole path that was lined with the rocks, all the way to where they had to take it, it was this long stretch of land. And I can imagine how hot it was there, which Michael 95 degrees. Michael Rathbone in the chat even said that the bricks part of the Detour was giving me a heat stroke just watching it. So I would have definitely stuck to shaking my hips in Peru.
Shaking your hips. Just like Arrow Man said, he would do hips because these hips don't lie. Hey, Arrow Man. And I just want to give a shout out to Jason Manning. He says he's tuning in for his first time on the live chat.
Jason.
Thank you so much. And he said he would do hips. So clearly his hips
Am
don't lie
I the only one that said to do bricks?
No, Justin.
Well, she said she wanted to do dancing, but you do bricks. All right.
No, people are
1,
saying
2, 3,
bricks.
4, 5,
Okay,
6, 7. 7 people have said hips. 3 or 4 people have said bricks.
Yeah,
So-
and just like Joseph Boza said that we had a dancing mess back in the first leg, and so which took them like 5 hours. Do you remember remember that first one? So he would have done bricks without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Mike and Rochelle and how Mike wasn't the strongest dancer at the beginning of this season, when we were at the viewing party, Justin and I were having the discussion about how Mike and Rochelle have really become more theatrical at challenges, and in this case they were. I mean, Mike and Rochelle picked up on the moves, no problem. It was just the presentation.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, but the thing though is that I think they would have done better had it not been their second choice because what happens is they actually chose bricks first, if you remember. But when they were there
and you literally like, you were looking at the screen going, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh my gosh, when they said they were going to switch, I was literally screaming at the TV.
Too.
I was like, no!
I know Mike, and I'm like, this is going to be terrible, Jess.
Literally, I had a flashback to the first leg, and I was like, oh my gosh, Mike, no.
Don't
like, you're going to be there for another 5 hours trying, because, dancing, let's just say, isn't his specialty. But they did pretty well.
They did pretty well, and I think they would have even, what's funny is it was Rochelle who really struggled with this one.
Yeah.
Remember, they actually took a timeout because she had tears in her eyes, and she was saying she just needed a second to breathe. But it's amazing to see them progress, James, as you said, throughout the season, because had this dance happened in leg 1 or leg 2, they would have maybe been sent home from it. But now you see them, and when they came back out there, their chins were up, they were being kind of flamboyant with it, and I said, good for them. And
it just shows that people change through this amazing race, experience, and they have truly. I feel like their relationship has grown. They've grown as individuals. They're more confident, and they freaking killed it. And you know what I love most is that Rochelle, she admitted to the camera, she goes, you know what, I'm kind of in the dumps right now. But then she just thought about how much she wants to win this for her and Mike and for her son. And she brought herself back up and she's like, you know what, we're going to do this. Let's go out there and do it again. And they got the clue. They succeeded. So that just shows that, even though everyone gets in dumps nowadays, but you can always bring yourself back up and just go for it.
Yep. And you know what? Good for them. I applaud them, especially because I think they listen to the show.
Yes, they do.
Yay!
They definitely do. Then we have Jelani and Jenny in the hips thing. They seemed like it was a no-brainer. They were both very positive, supportive of one another. On the brick side of the detour, Blair and Haley were very level-headed. They did not bicker once during the detour. They were very supportive of one another.
What's happening?
I was just like, where is this new side of Blair and Haley coming from?
I was so surprised. I even wrote that, wow, communicating well. What? And I was even, Haley, she was very positive overall.
She said, I'm becoming a pro at manual labor. And I will say, she delivers in those tasks. There's no complaining from her.
Because I know that when they, once you do the bricks, you have to put in your wheelbarrow, and as Tyler said, you have to go through the, the road to hell. But what was fun about this one was Blair decided it was so heavy that Blair kind of having to put it down. And so she was kind of trying to help and push for a a little bit. And she was really getting her fingers dirty.
And then Blair was like, you're doing a great job. You're killing it. So new light.
And she even freaking carried that heavy wheelbarrow, right? That wheelbarrow, was that what it was? Yeah, wheelbarrow for quite a while, you know?
She walked the walk as well as talked the talk.
Go Haley.
And
I don't think I've actually said go Haley once this whole season.
Nope.
Go Haley.
The one thing that would have stressed me out about the bricks detour, not necessarily the physical labor of it all, but it would have been the guy coming around stomping on the bricks that weren't right. Every time he stepped in a brick, I was like, a little piece of me is dying. Just a little piece.
It reminds me back to when the girl just let all the potatoes fall.
Yes.
Heartbreaking.
Oh, it's like your hard work just shatters.
Shatters. So overall, it was a great detour.
But one more thing about the detour is that Laura and Tyler, I was a little surprised with Laura, and Laura, I love you, but she did recommend to carry a few bricks when Tyler was carrying all 12 bricks in that wheelbarrow, and she didn't. And I was just like, okay, if she's walking along, she could have at least taken 1 or 2 bricks out of the basket to make it just that much easier for Tyler.
Well, like you said, she did suggest it, that it very well could have been Tyler Pride getting in the way, being like, no, I can do it myself.
Yeah,
and being like, no.
That is true, because she did ask, but I was just kind of surprised that she wouldn't just grab one just to make the load a little bit lighter for him.
I also don't want to, I felt really bad for them too. We need to mention that once they were unloading the bricks, they just walked this million-mile road. She accidentally set the brick down too hard, if you remember, and it broke.
Yeah.
And they tried to sneak it past the guard, the judge, and they oh, you won't notice. That judge noticed. And they had to go all the way back, make another brick, let it pass inspection, then bring it all the way back. Oh, I felt so bad for them.
And at first, I was nervous that they had to re-deliver all 12. If that had to be the case, I would have, my heart would have gone out to Tyler. But that wasn't the case, and he delivered that brick like it was a baby.
Yeah, anything happened to it. But you know what? I would say of all the teams on this part of the leg, props to Truck Stop Love, because they did them both,
right?
And they didn't seem to fall too far behind.
It would have been interesting to see had Mike and Rochelle stayed at that detour. I think they would have surprised themselves. And
Agreed.
I think the one thing, and Rochelle did say it, she was taking a gamble. They were taking a gamble by switching the detours. If you would have stayed at that detour, you would have at least known where you were at in
Tyler
the
and
race.
Laura were
Because
at.
if you know you're competing for third, I would want to make sure that I saw them at all times.
Yeah.
But by switching that detour, you have no other teams in sight. That it's a huge risk. And a lot of people in the chat are saying, yeah, Rochelle easily could have dominated and carried those bricks.
Yeah.
Like Rochelle's a strong woman in the race that she easily could have dominated this part of the detour.
I think the only strategy I see why they switched is I think they knew that Tyler and Laura were in third place. When they got to the bricks, they already saw Tyler and Laura ahead of them. And so it's one of those where in a physical match, I would say Tyler and Laura are more physically prepared for that challenge than Truck Stop Love, Mike and Rochelle. So I think it's one of those, if you know you're in last and the team in third is stronger than you, it's almost like, wow, it's going to be almost impossible for us to pass them.
Yeah.
If we know we're in last place, maybe you have to take that risk.
Right.
Maybe you have to say, what if the other challenge is so easy, we can leave. I mean, I don't know. I see what you're saying, James, and I probably do the same as you, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. Maybe they knew they couldn't pass Tyler and Laura physically. Maybe we can out-dance them.
Right.
True.
That's very true.
So they had to take that gamble. Before we move on,
I just wonder how much one of those bricks weighs.
Right.
Someone was asking that, I would think maybe one brick was maybe a little under 20 pounds?
maybe.
But I have no idea. I might be way off.
I love how, it probably was super heavy because Sarah Central goes, I love how Tyler carried 12 bricks where Blair had problems with 6.
Haley even could carry 6.
Hey, yeah. By the way, my phone is not nearly as good as yours, so if I'm leaning over awkwardly, for those of you that are like watching, why is Justin leaning so close to Jess? That is what I'm doing. Is that I'm not creepily smelling Jess. I'm leaning over to read the live chat because my phone doesn't update.
The live chat is blowing up.
It's great. It's great.
Speaking of the live chat, before we move on to the second half of this episode, I just want to remind everyone who's watching right now, please go to iTunes, give us 5 stars, leave a comment, subscribe to AfterBuzz TV, not only on YouTube, but also on iTunes. And there are 31 people watching live, which I'm assuming are the 31 loyal watchers we have every single week we've gone live here at AfterBuzz TV. There are only 18 thumbs up. That's better than there were in the past weeks. But there are only 18 thumbs up on our video. So if you are watching live right now, I challenge you to click that thumbs up, copy and paste the link in your browser, and tweet it, post it on Facebook, share the wealth and the love with everyone else because they're missing out on this after show.
Yes.
Why miss out on this greatness?
I'm about saying, both a doctor. I doubt lifting weights is a top priority. That was Sunset Rusher. Also, I know something very similar. I'm just taking over your phone, Mr. Air Sonic. Great points. Sorry, Jess. I go from looking at your phone just to touching it.
Taking it over.
I love it. Well, you're like giving shout outs to some people right now. I need to give a huge shout out to Ellis Tedder. He created this Twitter account, James_Will Lover, and
it threw me off.
I've had no idea who made that account. It's like a little account in, I guess, honor of my boyfriend Will and I had no idea who made it, but Ellis Tedder, thank you for making yourself known in the live chat. I want to just thank you and give you a huge shout out, and we appreciate your love and support.
But
thank you.
Really random, really quick story. It totally caused me confusion last week.
Yeah.
James, I thought that was your Twitter account that you added in addition. So last week, with that account, they said, can't wait to watch the show, and it had all of our Twitter handles on it, but also Laura from Team Tyler and Laura.
Yeah.
And I thought you tweeted that, meaning that Laura was going to be live in our studio.
We got way too excited.
And I showed up really early to the studio last week, and I was like, oh, this is so exciting, Laura. And then Jamie, like, what are you talking about? I was like, wait, is that on your Twitter account?
So you made it look very real.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real Twitter account. He's a big fan.
Yeah.
I just thought it was James.
And the banner on that Twitter profile is actually a picture of the 3 of us in the AfterBuzz studio. So Ellis Tedder, bonus points for you, my man.
Big time bonus points.
You get a thumbs up.
Yep.
And speaking of the thumbs up, we are now up to 22 thumbs up.
Yay!
So people are coming to their senses. That means we are 9 thumbs up short. But I want to give a few shout outs really quick to Taylor Smith, Ruth Vandereb, Joel N, Nika Jemrick, Chris P, Randall Richard, Sarah Central, Marco Polo, Saul Perez, Jason L. There's just so many of you guys in this chat right now talking that it's hard to keep up with all of you. But just those are some names to name a few. We really just appreciate all of you guys tuning in and being so loyal to our after show. All right, let's move on to the second half of this episode.
The Roadblock.
Once teams finished their detour, their route info said, make your way to the beach town of Huanchaco, and look for a statue across Avenida Rivera to pick up your next clue, which was the roadblock. Who wants to ride a seahorse? In this roadblock, teams had to go to a surf shop, pick up a traditional surfboard known as the Caballito de Totora, and carry it to the beach. There, one team member had to paddle out to a buoy to get their next clue. What did you guys think of this roadblock?
Oh, I would have definitely let my partner do this one. Those waves looked scary. No, thank you.
And you know what was scary about this was that, I mean, I would have the same thought as, I believe it was Blair, where Blair was like, oh, I'm a stand-up paddleboarder. This will be great. This will be easy.
Right.
And I also spent a lot of time in the water. I mean, I love being in the water, so I'd have been like, let me do this one. I love, I can handle myself. I don't think anything that we would do in the water here in our culture prepared you for what that was.
No.
It was like these very lightweight, very easily tip over rafts. I mean, it would have been really tough.
And they look slippery, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would have done it of the team probably, but no matter how much like the water, this would have been really tough.
Yeah. And clearly everyone complained about how heavy those canoes were. So clearly, they're big, they're bulky, they're awkward, nothing like we have here. But it was interesting to see.
Yeah, it really was. And, people are mentioning it right now on our live chat, but with some of the teams, it was kind of neat to see because they have run out of deciding who gets to do the challenge.
Yeah.
We're at the point in the race where I know Tyler did the past 5 or something like that. So then Laura had to do it as we're getting down to the point where to be even for the season, you have to start doing these roadblocks.
I think the rule is like you have to disperse it pretty evenly. But if one team member has done 5 and you haven't, like we saw with Laura and Rochelle getting stuck, they have to do it. So if they're going into this final leg, I'm sure there might be a roadblock here or there. If they both have done 5, which I'm assuming at this point they will, either of them can do it. So, which is, there's a lot of strategy into choosing who does the roadblocks because you have to think about the future. You don't want to get stuck with something you're not good at. So,
like what kind of happened here with one of the teams I'm sure we'll get into.
Oh yeah, Rochelle?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blair, though, he got out there with a few attempts, then he got right up, no problem. Haley, I'm so proud right now, giving him a lot of support from the beach.
Yeah, she was super encouraging.
Like she really was.
New leafs being turned with Haley.
Seriously.
And if you didn't have a chance to watch the episode yet and you're just kind of following through this recap, just so we know, it wasn't like a calm bay. Yeah. Right there in the Pacific, the beach, the waves were really, really big. And so the challenge was not only are you on this very light, imagine like it's like bamboo kayak, but the waves were so big, it just kept capsizing the racers. So, I mean, it wasn't as easy as we're making it sound.
Well, a lot of people in the chat are saying it looked like there was going to be a storm. And they're like, someone said, can you imagine doing this roadblock in a storm? I think if there was a storm, producers would have pulled the plug on it right away.
Right.
And would have been like, just run down the beach with a canoe and get your
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would have been very dangerous had there been a
storm. Because the waves,
we're getting a little aggressive.
Storm. Yeah.
I love Taylor's, actually, it was, where did it go? Jason Manning. Jason Manning just said, Jelani used the tanning bed method to paddle his boat.
That's so funny.
Love it. Jelani, yes, laying down. Jenny was like, yeah, he's getting his butt kicked by the sea, and it looks like the raft is riding him rather than the other way around.
Yes.
Laura forced to do the roadblock. She didn't seem to have too many issues with that. Like once she got the hang of it, she kicked some serious butt. But let's talk about Mike and Rochelle.
Okay.
Rochelle stuck with the roadblock. And she had a really, really tough time, even like getting a few feet off the shore.
Yeah.
And just keep being thrown back from the waves. And that's when we got to see her break down again about, I can't do this. I just can't do it. And then Mike, props to him, was just so patient and so nurturing in that moment that it was just so cute to see. It speaks volume on the relationship that they have together. And he was just so gentle with her. I just loved the moment. It was such a cute little moment.
But can I just be really brutally honest? And I'm going to maybe regret saying this because I know, that they may listen to the show and know that I absolutely love them. I was really frustrated with how the end of this episode goes, because it's one of those where in this episode you see her break down not only once, but she breaks down twice.
Yeah.
And on this type of show, I don't feel like you should be able to keep breaking down and continue to survive in the race. I mean, she had to leave the water and sit on the beach and cry. And I understand this race is hard, but all the other teams struggled, and there's not time to have these moments. Like, I get it, James. Like, I love seeing him support her, but I'm also kind of like, how are they still in this race? Because there's the true champions of this race need to be the ones that struggle and keep at it. I don't know. Am I just being really horrible?
Well, I would say, to play devil's advocate, I would say it the other way around. I feel like if they had this many breakdowns at the beginning, I would totally agree with you on that on that point. But the fact that they're this close to $1 million, and we've seen the entire race so far, how much is at stake for Rochelle? Being a single mom, raising her own son.
Totally
there's
fair.
$1 million. That is life-changing. The stress that I can imagine it putting on her, knowing that they're that close to her life being completely changed for the better for her son, I would probably break down. Like, if I had a lot riding on this win, I would break down knowing I was that close. If you knew you kept getting beat up and you just know you're in the back of the pack, it would be so stressful. I can only imagine.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I don't know. Part of me feels like if you are going to have a chance to win $1 million, you need to be one of the toughest teams in the world, and...
Well, and what really stood out to me is the fact that she, it's one thing to break down, have an, emotional moment, but she actually said, like, I can't do this. And that's when I was like, oh no, this is not good. When someone
She's checking out.
When someone actually...
Exactly.
Yeah, when someone kind of checks out and says, I can't do this, that's like, okay, you're in this race, like, come on, get back in there. And, good thing Mike was there, and good thing she does have a lot at stake, because I think it's really her son and the fact that there's $1 million at stake here that they really need that keeps them going, and I'm happy about that. But really, this was the first episode that Rochelle was complaining a lot, and we haven't really seen that at all.
Yeah.
So I was a little shocked, but just like you said, there is a lot at stake.
There's a lot at stake.
A lot of emotions are coming out, which makes sense.
I've always rooted for that, and I didn't mean anything now. I'm just saying that I would have never been upset until this episode had they won. But now I just feel like other teams maybe have done the race better as far as they've been able to keep it a little more in check.
Right.
And so it's frustrating to me that they keep taking timeouts to deal with their emotions when other teams don't have to, and they may now have an opportunity to still win. I don't know.
And I think that's why Mike did such a good job at handling that situation, because it seemed like within minutes, that's when she changed the I can't to I can.
Right.
It was like, I had to have a moment where I was like, this is going to better my son's life and our life back home. And she got right back up on that little raft and did it.
And,
Good for
at
her.
that moment, they knew they were in last place. So even if they did, push through it, and Mike didn't have that, they didn't have that little moment on the beach, they would have been last place anyways. They knew they were last place. So maybe that is why they took that moment to kind of, start over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that kind of wraps up the roadblock. Teams get their info that tells them to walk to their next pit stop, Virgen del Socorro, where in first place, none other than Blair and Haley.
Yes.
2 times in a row.
Two times in a row.
They're on fire.
They are on fire. Something's changed again. We're seeing a new light with Haley and Blair.
And they got a trip to India.
Yeah, and you know what? Good for them, because I know last week we were kind of teasing about how maybe their prize for getting first wasn't as great as some of the other prizes.
Yeah.
Like, other teams get trips. They get a trip in a huge way. Going to India, I mean, that is so cool.
Now they can wear their Fitbits in India and track their steps and count their calories.
Oh, I love India. They're going to have so much fun.
Yeah.
Because you've been.
Yeah.
Then in second place, we have Jenny and Jelani. Third place, Laura and Tyler. And then in fourth place, Mike and Rochelle. And just like last season, what we saw on this episode was the fourth place team, Mike and Rochelle, did not get eliminated. Rather than they got their clue on the mat telling them that they would be racing to the final city, final leg of this race. but one team would be eliminated at some point before the finish line.
Yeah.
So
Just like last season.
Exactly like last season.
Which last season, pointing out, it was Amy and Maya who got last place before the final destination and ended up winning the race.
Wouldn't it be crazy if the exact same thing happens? Like, what if Mike and Michelle, who got 4th place this time, who I thought should have been eliminated after how they performed this leg, wouldn't it be an unbelievable coincidence if they won the whole episode, a whole season, just like last year?
I don't know. It could be a little fishy. If the same thing
Not
happens...
a coincidence?
I don't think it'll be a coincidence. I think if the same thing happens last year that happens this year, I think the producers got involved.
Ooh, get it,
saying,
Jess.
Because it can't happen 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah?
I don't know.
Crazy.
Just saying.
Crazy.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen on The Amazing Race.
There has been a lot of speculation I've read online about how they think the same thing might happen to Mike and Rochelle that happened to Amy and Maya. So everyone who's in the live chat right now, while we transition into predictions, let us know, what do you think?
Ooh,
And now,
lights this time.
your AfterBuzz TV
Predictions.
All right, as we know, the finale of The Amazing Race Season 26 is coming to an end this Friday on CBS. Justin, as you know, good old times, we'll start with you first with predictions.
Do you know what I was just in my mind right now? I mean, every single week, I know, James, that you're going to call me to give predictions, and for some reason, I don't come to this table thinking ahead of time who my predictions are going to be. Like, right now, I'm like,
this time?
no, I still have no clue. Like, I don't know why I put this off until you asked me. Like, I'm surprised I have to answer this question. It's hard, James, because I feel like anyone has a shot at it. You know, props to both Laura and Jenny. I was hoping maybe I could get like some like body language clues from them when we met them on Friday about like who was going to win, and they're good poker players. I mean, they gave nothing up, and so I thought that would help me predict the winners. And all right, so here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say, actually, because you know what, I'm gonna say Mike and Rochelle. I can't believe I'm saying
first?
I am.
Oh my gosh!
Here's the thing.
And that changed from Friday, because at first you didn't think that they were going to win.
James, like 10 minutes ago, because I want to say Jenny and Jelani. I really do. The only thing that's weird to me is they're not getting a lot of edit right now, and it's the final 4.
It's a weird edit.
It's a weird edit for those two.
But
where
maybe
I feel
that means.
Maybe that's exactly right. Now I'm totally psyching myself out. My brain says Jenny and Jelani. But for some reason, I just feel like how much we've been seeing the story of Mike and Rochelle. There's been so much lately on airtime for them. It's like they're setting us up. They're setting us up to fall in love, and they're gonna win. So I'm gonna say Mike and Rochelle. If Jenny and Jelani win, I'm gonna be pissed because I would have gotten that correct. And I think in 4th place will be, I don't know. I don't want to say Tyler and Laura because they're on my team. Tyler and Laura.
All right. So I'm going to say Haley and Blair. I don't know why. I'm just going to say
on
Haley
fire.
and Blair
Totally
are going
get
to
it.
win it. And I have to kind of agree with you. I think Laura and Tyler are going home. Sadly, I love them.
I mean, they're all going to go home,
well,
sadly.
no, I think they're going to get 4th.
Yeah, I mean...
Or maybe get eliminated along the way.
I have cheered for them the whole way, but I agree with you. They've been kind of in the bottom of the pack recently, and it doesn't seem to be all roses anymore.
Yeah.
And so they might be the team that's going to go home before they get to the mat.
Okay.
So sad.
You, James?
Gosh, it's tough because I watched the previews for next week and try to dissect it as much as I could. There's so much going on. We see them driving monster trucks. We see them
football stadium.
dropping from a skyscraper in Dallas.
Yeah.
They're in the Dallas Cowboys football stadium. There's so much going to happen. It's going to be an action-packed episode. I can only imagine what's going to happen. Based on what I saw in that 30 seconds, there were 3 teams at the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. And I have a feeling that just like every season of The Amazing Race, the final 3 teams have to do some sort of putting things together, whether it's the sequence of where they were in the world, the currency of all the different countries they've been to, something like that. The 3 teams that I saw were Mike and Rochelle, Jenny and Jelani, and Haley and Blair. So I'm going to say Laura and Tyler get eliminated.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Mike and Rochelle win.
You both of you guys. Oh my gosh.
I just can see the same thing happening like what happened with Amy and Maya. And a lot of people are bringing up a really good point in the live chat about how last season, the reason why they did the final 4 teams racing to the final city is because there was the twist of the save. So the show had to overcompensate that save would be used at some point, which never was. This season, they didn't have the save. So it's interesting why they had the 4 teams racing to the final city.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But I would love to see Mike and Rochelle take it all.
Well, based on the football, the monster trucks, the hanging from that skyscraper, and the animals, like the random bulls we see, it's going to be a good episode, and we're pumped.
And we have to talk about next week. So next week is our finale after show for The Amazing Race. And as we promised all of you guys that if one of our after shows hit 10,000 views, we would do something special for the finale after show in studio. So we had a lot of responses, a lot of great suggestions. What were some of them, Justin?
Some of them were, I know we talked about maybe going to do cycling.
Soul Cycle with Kim and
Allie. They were at the party on Friday night. Great to see them. They think it's a great idea. Everyone seems to be for it but me. I mean,
All right, so we got
seems like
Soul
a lot of
Cycle
work.
with Kim and Allie. We got dressing up as
a character from the race.
a character from the race. Dressing up as the favorite character at the pit stop with
That's a
Phil.
local to the country.
Exactly. And then the last one was dressing up as our favorite country from this season of The Amazing Race, and then performing some sort of specialty about that country we are dressing up as, whether it's a dance, a native song, something pertaining to that country.
So those are the 4 finalists?
Those are the 4. So you guys need to leave comments below and let us know. Are we going to do spin class with Allie and Ashley from last season? Are we going to dress up as our favorite racer? Are we going to dress up as our favorite pit stop
character
local? Or are we dressing up as our favorite country from this season of The Amazing Race and performing a special dance or song that is native to that country? You guys get to decide. You have the power.
So let's say, they can comment on the live chat, but let's say that you're listening in your car, or you're watching, a couple of days from now. Can they say just contact us also on the YouTube comments? What about social media? Does that count? Like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram?
Yes.
Or is there any way they can contact us that counts as a vote?
Yeah, either comment in the live chat, comment on YouTube, or tweet one of us.
If you're going to tweet us, you need to hashtag ABTV Amazing Race with the task that we're going to do in the finale after show. And that'll count as a vote. If there's no hashtag, we're not going to know. We're not going to see it.
There's a lot of people that may, not be in the live chat right now because they're doing something. So, and then let's say you have to let us know by Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Because we want to start planning Thursday through Sunday if we have to think of some crazy costume or dance or anything like that.
Perfect. Yes.
Cool.
That works for us. Does that work for everyone else?
I'm excited.
Awesome.
I hope so.
Oh, and also, one more thing, because it is the finale after show, I'm actually going to be doing a giveaway. We have something special coming to our studio next week from Mike and Rochelle that will be autographed, that I'll be giving away live on our show next
I wish
week.
I would have known before I just said how it was. That's terrible.
So you don't want to miss that. I will have it in studio next week. And one of you lucky viewers will be getting a special surprise from Mike and Rochelle.
Ooh.
Justin, where can they find you on social media?
You all can find me at Justin J. Nichols, Justin Jnichols. Let me know your vote for what we should do next week.
And you guys can find me at DressJessXO.
And you can find me on Twitter at James Wallington and Instagram at James.Wallington. And we will see you guys next week for the finale after show here at AfterBuzz TV. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.